Ammo is crazy expensive and hard to find, and dry fire is life. I use the Mantis X10 to keep my handgun skills strong, and it makes dry practice fun and challenging. Check it out at the link below.
Greetings, guys. I'm Brian Hill with the Complete Combatant. This is your Active Self-Protection Extra video for Mantis Dry Fire Monday. Thank you, Mantis, as always. We're going to work on some metrics today that are important for us to evaluate in a personal protection realm. I am using a competitive methodology to measure personal performance in the realm of self-defense. Well, I'm going to put two things together and see how that goes. I appreciate you guys tuning in. What we're going to do is work on your actual time to do something. There are three measurements that matter in the self-defense world. One is your reaction to stimulus. The other is the action it takes to do something. And those two together create what we call response time. All right, we've got to understand those. Reaction to visual stimulus is about a quarter second. All right, it can be slightly lower if you're prepared and you know what's coming. And genetics play a role in that too. Some people are a little quicker, but just as a valid measurement, about 25 seconds. Audio is about 0.17, okay? And then touch is 0.15, which is the fastest of our senses because we're actually connected to things and we can feel it. This takes a little while for processing. That's why we see a big difference on it. Now, if I'm not prepared, so I'm wandering around and something happens, my reaction time goes to 0.75 to 1.5. So it's like driving and not paying attention, or you're on your phone. It's going to take you a lot longer to stop the car than it would if you were paying attention. And the same thing for the self-defender. We need to be aware of our environment. Mindset plays a crucial role in it. Mindset means to see the associations and expectations we're expecting to see in the environment. If we don't see that, then we should up our level of awareness, which allows us to react more quickly. If it's a pure ambush, none of this really matters because you're going to have to get in a fight. And when you realize that you're being in the ambush, you have to do something. So then it becomes as soon as I can, and that reaction time will be different. This can be significantly longer for people. They begin to ask questions that don't really matter in this environment. So what we're going to try to do is short circuit that. We want to get is a good response time, and that's what we're capable of doing under pressure with an unknown stimulus. The thing that's always bothered me is Mantis does a really good job of breaking it down, like when your hand gets on the gun, for the grip, as you pull, your horizontal stroke, your time on the target. And what I wanted to see is what is just my time to move my hands? How quickly can I do that? Now, I can't completely get rid of this, but it gets hidden in the movement, so we just kind of discount it, all right? Because as I'm moving, I'm going to cover a little bit more distance with reaction time, but it's going to be coordinated, so I can kind of just suss that out. I'm going to start all these draws with my hand on the gun and my other hand in a support position. So I'm just practicing how long it takes me to do this and fire the first shot. Now, all four safety rules come into play. My gun is definitely loaded. It's in the holster. As you notice, I have two holsters on. I have an appendix and a strong side. We're going to compare the two. I'm going to point the muzzle in a safe direction, which will be my opponent, my target this time. I'm going to bring my finger to the trigger as the sights come on the target, and I've made a decision to shoot. And I'm going to be aware of my target and its surroundings. So the only place safe for me to shoot is on this. We are going to reduce the level of accuracy because it's not an accuracy drill, it's a speed drill. And if we go back to accuracy, we'll simply slow down to make sure that we get better hits. What is the difference between appendix and strong side? Now, I do this a lot. I teach a lot of classes, so I know the number. But I'd like you guys to stay tuned with the video and find out what it is. It's a surprising number what the difference in this is. We know from strong side it's a little longer motion than appendix is. So there is some time saving, but we need to know what the difference is. Remember, we're starting with the hand on the gun to get rid of clearing the cover garment, because that seems to be the most fragile part and also the least practiced part, to be completely honest. People show up to my classes that are all concealment and they show up with race rigs, all right? And so how does that help you for personal protection? It doesn't help you at all. It's very different. This outside the waistband is very different than drawing from concealed. But I want to get rid of that number right now so we know what your actual hand speed is. And then we'll be able to add things up. So forget the clearing of the cover garment today, which is odd for me to say. And let's get a good number here. I put a big question mark in the action time. I just don't know what the action times are, so we're going to share that with you. I'm going to do 3 draws from appendix. I'm going to do 3 draws from strong side, and we'll get an average number for each, and then we'll do a little bit of very easy math, I promise you guys. Okay, let me move this out of the way and we'll get started. Okay, so we're ready to go. Timer set up. Okay, let's check our gun. Got enough ammo to do this, just enough. Fantastic. All right. ready to go. So let's do appendix first. Okay, appendix to the first draw. Hand's going to be on the gun. The other hand's going to be in a safe support position, so I should be well organized here. Okay, let's see what that looks like. So it was the 64. Same speed, 63. That was quicker, but not by much. So that's a 57, all right? So if we put those two numbers together, we get a 0.6, which is what I expected to see because I know my numbers pretty well. So I've got a 0.6 from the hand on the gun. This is often called the nervous ready in law enforcement because your hand goes to the gun. It's also a good place for armed citizens to start it. You'll have a much better draw from this position than you will from hand off the gun, but you're also giving away that you have a gun. It's contextually rich and you'll have to explore that. Now I'm going to move to the strong side holster and see what the times are from there. Just for time sake and mathematics sake, we're going to say the appendix is a 0.6. We're going to say the strong side was a 0.7. We're measuring speed. Now, here's the way it works. We have to use a timer in these things because if we don't use a timer, our perceptions are inherently flawed by two things. One is, if we're well organized and we have a clear goal, then it's going to feel slower because everything's moving in harmony, all right? So things that are organized are much more efficient, therefore quicker. If you're discombobulated and you're disorganized, you're going to be managing more tasks, which will feel quicker in the long run, but will be slower on the timer. Therefore, the reason you need a timer is that your perceptions vary relative to the task that you're doing and how much you're involved in it. So if you're disorganized, you're going to be juggling more things and it'll feel like you did it faster, but it's simply not true. It'll probably be slower. We've got a pretty good number here, 0.6 and 0.7. So if my true reaction time to a visual or to getting on the gun, we're just going to say 0.2. If I have a 0.6 hand speed from here, I expect a 0.8, which is really good for me. That would be really good. My draws average between 0.8 and 0.9 mostly in class, maybe a little bit more. So I know I'm in the right area. But if it started going above that, I know I need to work on it again because something's gone wrong, I've become inefficient, or I'm lackadaisical in my response. There's no urgency to the signal that I'm getting. The other side is if I see the time dropping, could be one of two things. Maybe I've taken some sort of shortcut that doesn't benefit me. I'm shooting too soon. I'm not seeing anything. Or I'm getting better. And I've just dropped a boundary and my body has organized, my mind has organized the task, and therefore I'm getting faster. From the strong side holster, all right, it was a 0.7. So if we put the 0.2 on it, it's about a 0.9. 0.9 to 0.1 is what I see. I think if I practice with this, I can make them even. It's pretty darn close. I could feel the discombobulation on this side because I do draw this every week, but it's only once or twice a week where I do this every day. So the amount of effort put into the appendix draw from concealment far outweighs the strong side draw. And I do this because I occasionally compete or I give a speech where I have to carry a gun on the strong side. I want to keep that skill fresh. But more importantly, to you guys, there's a lot of you that carry strong side, and I want to be able to relate and give you information that's valuable. Just realize that there's only a test of one, and then I may not be the best candidate because I may not have the best draw, but now I know the numbers from me, which is the most important thing. So my response time with reaction and action on an appendix draw should be a 0.8 to 0.9 unless I'm not paying attention. Then it's going to be a 1.5. See how that worked? So I got to a 1.5 draw, and if I'm really not paying attention, it might be a 2.5 second draw. All right. If I fumble, it'll cost me a 1/4 second. Visual patience on the sights usually cost me 0.2. So all those things come into play, and I start recognizing when I'm doing something well. Therefore, I can program it over and over. This is what I want to do. It's very interesting is people don't want to put these numbers together. I hear it all the time. I just don't want to know, coach. Then you can't get better. Ignorance is bliss in some ways, but also it's very frustrating. So you got to have a timer to do this so we get some driven metrics and we know what's possible. And what I find is the large majority of human beings fall in this category. They're going to fall in these numbers. They're not far outside of it. So therefore we know that this is not a gift. It is not a fixed state that you were born into. It is something that we work through growth and we get better at. and all of us are capable of doing this sort of thing. So I hope that helps you guys. That's the hand on the gun. It goes with the other two videos, which was getting your support hand on the gun sooner and then a quicker draw. If you put it all together, you should have a pretty good draw going now. And notice I don't count the draws out. I don't do a fixated draw. What I do is put the movements together, and then I get a time for them, and that allows me to go, because I like to shoot at the speed of vision, and what I'm seeing is most important, but also what I'm feeling. How does this all work together? The one shot I wasn't as happy with, I didn't get my support hand on, but I knew instantly, so I just corrected myself in an unemotional manner. I need to get my hand on the gun sooner, and it worked out fine after that. And that's very important programming for you guys. So I hope this helps you guys. It was a fun video to do. Beautiful day here in Georgia. Thank you to Mantis Mantis X. Now, you can't do this drill with the Mantis drill because as soon as you touch the gun, it's going to sense that. But now when you see how long it takes you to grip the gun, you're going to understand that number, because that's this or this, that position or this or this. That's how long it takes. And then they do an exceptionally good job on the pull, the horizontal, the aiming, and then pressing the trigger. So man, you got a great graph of measured events that are going to help you grow really quickly. And the deeper the understanding of what those numbers mean, the easier you'll be able to program yourself to greater efficiency. Okay. Thank you, Active Self-Protection Extra. It was fantastic doing this video for you guys. I hope you all enjoy it. I'm Brian Hill with the Complete Combatant, and as always, measure, refine, and perform.